Russia has sent warships to the Mediterranean Sea. The Interfax news agency reported that unnamed Navy officials said the ships were sailing to Syria to help in a possible removal of Russian citizens. The report could not be confirmed. Last week, Russian diplomats said their country may call for the removal of Russian citizens from Syria if the Syrian government falls. On Monday, Russia confirmed that 2 of its citizens and an Italian were kidnapped late Monday in Syria. The kidnappers have demanded a payment for their release. The main opposition coalition in Egypt has launched new protests against an Islamist-supported constitution. The National Salvation Front organized several marches against the constitution in Cairo Tuesday. Opponents say the document will harm civil liberties because it strengthens Islamic law and fails to include women's rights. An Islamist-led assembly prepared the new constitution. Supporters say its passage is an important step in Egypt's move toward democracy. President Mohamed Morsi claimed victory in the first day of voting on the measure last week, but the opposition says the vote was unfair. On Monday, a group of top judges said it will not supervise the second day of voting, which is set to take place on Saturday. Pakistani officials say unidentified gunmen have killed 6 workers in a United Nations-supported polio vaccination program. Police said 4 female workers were killed in a series of attacks in the city of Karachi Tuesday. Officials said a 5th polio worker, a man, was shot and killed in Karachi on Monday. They say another woman died in a similar incident Tuesday in the northwestern city of Peshawar. Investigators say gunmen on motorbikes carried out most of the attacks. Several other health workers were wounded. No one has claimed responsibility. American leaders are closer to a compromise on sharp spending cuts and tax increases that start in January. Important government programs and higher tax rates for almost all American workers are at issue. Major barriers to a deal remain, but observers say guidelines for an agreement seem to be forming. Still, President Obama and the Republican opposition in Congress are debating the details. An America-based group says war-related deaths in Syria and murders in 3 other countries have made 2012 one of the deadliest years for reporters. The Committee to Protect Journalists said at least 67 news reporters have been killed because of their work. That is more than a 40% increase from last year. The group said another 30 deaths are still under investigation. In an earlier report, the group said a record-high number of reporters were in prisons this year. It named Turkey, Iran, and China as the worst countries for jailing reporters. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. Chad has sent troops to the Central African Republic to help fight rebels who have threatened to oust President François Bozizé. CAR officials say Chadian ground forces entered the country Tuesday at the request of President Bozizé. An alliance of rebel groups has seized control of several CAR towns in recent days. They have threatened to overthrow President Bozizé if he fails to carry out a 2007 peace deal. On Monday, the group demanded that the government of the CAR honor a promise to pay rebel soldiers who had surrendered their weapons and freed political prisoners. The International Criminal Court has ordered the release of Congolese militia leader Mathieu Ngudjolo. The order came after the court found him not guilty of war crimes and crimes against humanity. The charges were in connection with an attack 9 years ago on a village in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Court officials rejected a request from lawyers Tuesday to detain Mr. Ngudjolo while they appealed the decision. Indonesian officials say a 4-year-old boy has died from bird flu. His is the 10th death from the disease in Indonesia this year. The health ministry said the boy likely became infected with the H5N1 virus after playing with dead birds outside his home west of Jakarta. Almost half the estimated 360 people worldwide who died from bird flu since 2003 have been in Indonesia. Last week, fears were raised after the government said a new version of the disease recently killed more than 300,000 ducks on the island of Java. American government lawyers have announced criminal charges against 2 Chinese nationals for their reported attempts to get sensitive technology illegally. The court document identifies the 2 as Wan Li Yuan and an unidentified aide who uses the name Jason Jiang. It says they plotted to violate American export rules through smuggling and money laundering. An American statement said both suspects operated from China and continue to live there. Officials in Oregon say they seized more than $400,000 sent by one of the suspects for the military-level technology. And students returned to school Tuesday in the American community of Newtown, Connecticut. The schools reopened after 4 days after a gunman killed 20 children and 6 adults. The shootings have increased debate on gun control in the United States. Several Democratic Party lawmakers have called for a new push to restrict gun sales.